Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the man who just relived my past, Josh Finney.
Jesus Christ.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Corey.
We just got done talking
It's been
about...
a week.
Oh my God, you are fucking telling me.
It's been a week. For both of us, it's been a week.
God.
I have been in a war of attrition with a cricket for the past 4 days.
I've been haunted by a person of my past, so that was fun.
Yeah, Corey's haunted by something that's like actually important. I'm just going insane because of a fucking cricket that's in my air vent somewhere.
Important is a little bit of a strong word, Josh. It's
I have ripped the vents off the wall. I was shining flashlights in there. I was smacking things around in those vents, trying to get this cricket to shut the fuck up. Because let me tell you something, I'm fighting a war with this cricket, okay, that I cannot find in any of my air vents anywhere, and I know for a fact it's in the air vents, because it echoes through there. Can't find it. That's really bothering me. 2, I have a fucking wisdom tooth coming in that's hurting. And 3, still dealing with a sore tooth that I'm supposed to get a root canal on in a few days. And I am just like ready to climb the fucking walls because I can't sleep because I'm irritated. The noise is killing me. So to answer Cade's question right off the bat, it's not going well. Have you won the battle with said cricket that's been plaguing you the last few nights? Fuck no, I haven't. I thought I declared victory last night because I heard it, and I just went up and I put on a work glove and just started punching the main air vent.
Punching the air vent, huh?
I was punching the main air vent. It really hurt my hand.
Ooh.
And then it stopped, and I didn't hear it the rest of the night. And it was like, oh, thank God, I think I finally won. It's been starting around like 7:30, 8 o'clock every night. It started at 4:45 this afternoon.
Oh.
I was like, oh, you want to do this? Okay, I'll come out sooner. But I had my cat up there as like a periscope. Like, tell me if you see it. My cat was very upset that that's what I was choosing to do at 3 o'clock in the morning, to stick his head up there in the vents.
I mean, I don't know if anybody would have been happy with their head in a vent at 3 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you.
I did apologize to my upstairs neighbor because when I started punching the vent last night, I heard them like stomping on the ground right above my bedroom really loudly. Not that they haven't been loud in the past, but I went up and left them a note today, and I was like, sorry, fighting a cricket. That's sorry for the noise. I'm fighting a cricket, essentially. I could tell when they got the note because I could hear laughing.
That's usually when somebody realizes they got something that is kind of funny. So, I mean, to be fair, watching you and a cat fight a cricket seems really hilarious.
Yeah, sleep deprived at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and we're doing this. My vent punching happened at like 9-10 o'clock at night, though. So Yeah. Anyways, the bottom line is this cricket's driving me up a fucking wall. Much like the legend title in this game.
How's that going for you, Josh?
I finished it. And I want everybody to know I took a bullet for the team here. I finished it. I finished the Skywatch part of it, at least. And immediately after I finished, you know what they announced?
What?
We are going to increase the rate of Ingram drops and enemy density in the Skywatch for the next 3 weeks. So I did this. I made this happen for y'all. I want you to know that.
Good job, Josh.
There is no better way to commemorate the 10th anniversary of Destiny than a mind-numbing, horrible grind. But you know what? It was worth it. I got my seal ordered. I got my Ace of Spades Nerf gun ordered.
Nice.
So I'm very excited. I saw a picture of that thing in person. That thing is fucking huge.
Yeah.
I think we forget how big hand cannons actually are. They're not pistols. Pistols are sidearms.
Yeah.
This thing's a fucking unit, dude.
Yeah, it's big. It's huge.
It's like it's legitimately. It's probably the size of the Needler I have on the shelf behind me. So I don't know where I'm going to put this thing. I thought it was a lot smaller. I'm actually going to probably have to hang it on the wall somewhere because I just don't have... I was going to set it like off to the side on my desk and I just don't have room for it. So that's me griping about, I had money to spend.
Yeah. Well,
So, what's another toy at
yeah,
this
I know.
point?
I get it. I have been speaking of toys. I've been staring at this Crow and Mara statue.
I'm waiting for a sale. The Savathun statue has gone down deep enough recently a few times that the
It was
next time
$140 at one point.
it was down to 94 at one point, and I did not pull the trigger.
Oh man!
If it dips below 100, I'm buying. I'm pulling the trigger. I'm buying it. I'm pulling the trigger. The deal I'm going to have to make is that I'm never buying another one of these until they do Mithrax. But I have nowhere to put this. I don't even know if I have room for the box. But if it goes below 100, I'm buying it.
I believe you will find somewhere to put it, Josh.
Yeah, it's going to be my storage unit.
I'm trying to see what's on your shelf back there. There's books back there. You can move some of those books.
Oh my god, dude! I have 3 shelves completely full of books. I have 2 in here and 1 out in the living room. I have another one in the living room that's just Blu-rays.
You could put it in that chair behind you, that rocking chair.
You know what? I actually probably would. Chelsea doesn't use it, so just put it on the cat's climbing post. He doesn't need that.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fun. Cat climbs up there and sees Savathun there and just falls off. It'll be fun.
Oh my god,
it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I'm definitely like running out of, because like I have all sorts of stuff back there. Up above my desk is even worse. That's where like most of the stuff that's like in boxes is, so it's like all stacked on top of each other.
Yes.
So, and I have a lot of my like seal pins on like little small shelves I have around the desk. So yeah, I'm running out of room for this stuff though. My time of buying Destiny collectibles may be coming to a very, very rapid end. Every time I say that though, they announce something really cool. So
yeah,
hey, I just said that. That probably means that they're going to do something cool here in like the next month or two.
Yeah, I've decided to just limit myself to the statues, the character statues.
God, they're so good too.
I know. The Mara one looks weird. I'm not gonna lie to you, but maybe that's just like the one image looks weird. It's just like it looks unfinished. It's too smooth. Her face is just too smooth or something. I don't know what it is, man. But
Jesus Christ.
You know how I like my Mara, super smooth, Josh.
You have a problem. You have so many problems.
Oh, don't get me started. We already discussed too many of them. So, Josh, we should start a therapy podcast. By therapy podcast, I mean I have a lot of shit to get out. Josh, be my therapist. I'll pay you in silver.
Jesus.
Oh man. Good times. I did not complete the legend thing. I've been playing the Plucky Squire.
Which is a much more divisive game than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's
like I saw perfect scores rolling in, and then I saw like actual like bigger outlets doing scores, and it was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, okay. It's got some charm. I got to tell you, it's got a lot of charm, but it also it's got its issues, but it's a cute game. It's not going to win any Game of the Year awards, but I'm hoping to finish it before Zelda comes out next week, because once I start Zelda, I'm never touching this game again. I'm going to be honest with you, but I like it. It's
on PS Plus.
It sure is. I bought it on Switch though, because I don't have time for PS Plus, man. I don't have time to turn my PlayStation on.
I forgot that I had PS Plus until it auto renewed, which is really funny. I have been, you guys heard me last week crusading against the PS5 Pro. I'm not going to lie. Today, they damn near got me. I don't need that console, which the special version of that is almost certainly going to be a little over $1,000 after tax. But I am going to cop one of those controllers.
Yeah, the 30th anniversary controller is really sexy.
The controllers are sexy. The packaging may be the best part of all of this.
Yeah, isn't it all based off like the original PlayStation
Yeah,
packaging?
it's all OG PlayStation packaging, and then the charging cable for the controller that comes with the PS5 Pro is it looks like the old memory card adapter.
Yeah.
It looks great. This looks awesome. I would really love to be able to fork out the money, but I'm so glad Sony has really nailed these special controllers, because I mean Xbox has been doing this for years, right? Like
Yeah.
Xbox has been making good special controllers since the 360 days,
Yeah.
and we didn't get any that I think were like super standout during the PS4.
Hmm.
Maybe a couple of them that came with like the consoles, but that was about it. But just this year alone, Concord, Astrobot, and now the 30th anniversary controllers have all looked awesome.
Yeah.
So I think this is great. I'm always for stuff like that too. That Astrobot controller is pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's
Impossible to find, but it's awesome.
yeah. I used it at PAX to play Astrobot. I felt like I was really in the zone, really in the world of Astrobot at PAX, playing Astrobot with the Astrobot controller. Let me tell you.
I know we're gonna get into Destiny here, but I played one of the games I've been wanting to play all year because it's 40% off this week. That's the whole reason I'm bringing this up. Prince of Persia
Ooh.
is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got about an hour and a half of it in last night and today, and it is challenging.
Yeah.
That is, maybe it's just because I'm getting older and my reaction times aren't what they used to be, but oh man, this is a great modern Metroidvania. Like this
I love the
and
map system.
this and Metroid Dread are like two of the best you can play right now.
Yeah. I love the map pinning system.
Yeah, I found that interesting that you can basically create a memory so you can see exactly why you pinned that on the map.
Hmm.
I thought that was cool. I think that the backtracking of it all is interesting. I like the combat. I just think that like I'm playing it on a lower difficulty, and I still think it's like a little like not forgiving.
Hmm.
It is definitely a challenge of a game, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It evokes more Hollow Knight than Metroid or Castlevania vibes for me, with like a little bit of Dead Cells sprinkled in.
Hmm.
In fact, I would say the combat is almost like explicitly like Dead Cells.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the combat's really good.
it's really good. I'm hoping that it's not too long of a play.
Um, I think it's like, I think you could probably get through it in like 12 or 15 hours, I think. And then like the 100% is like 25 or 30 or something. I don't think it's that long. So, but yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Howlongtobeat.com says if you play the main story and you are not a completionist, 16 and a half hours on average. That is excellent length for a $40 game.
Yeah.
Which I only paid $21, I think, for it.
Yeah.
So because I got the sale price and then I got a Game Pass discount on top of that. So very good game. It's funny enough, that is longer than any of the other Prince of Persia games.
Yeah.
Sands of Time is it's about a 10-hour game. Same with Two Thrones. Warrior Within is the longest one in the series, I think. Forgotten Sands is only an 8-hour game.
Yeah.
This is the longest one, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, games have to be long apparently now. So
yeah, and at least like in the early hours, it doesn't feel too obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's turned me off to a lot of like modern Metroidvanias is those games don't need to be super long.
Mm-mm.
They need to be engaging, something I can do in like 1-2 play sessions. I think that's why I loved Tunic so much.
Yeah.
Like Tunic is a fascinating game, and I'll save a lot of these thoughts for Xbox casuals on Monday. But yeah, it's definitely on my list. It's on my list of my favorite games of the year already.
Yeah, it's it'll probably end up on my top 10, but at the end of the year, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll probably be towards like the back of my top 10. because honestly, the
Yeah.
games I have played, I've been like that I've finished to completion, I've been really impressed by.
Hmm.
And there's still, God, dude, there's like 5 or 6 major releases coming that I still need to play. That
Yeah.
if they hold up to what previews are, like they will all hit my top 10, and that's Astrobot, Metaphor, Indiana Jones, Life is Strange, Dragon Age, which got phenomenal previews today.
Hmm.
And then Vessel of Hatred is just a couple weeks away as well. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited. But you guys are not here to hear me listen to me talk about Prince of Persia. You are here about Destiny.
We are here for Destiny. This is Tower Casuals, the
Uh,
Destiny podcast.
yeah, here we are, 15 minutes into the show, finally getting to the Destiny of it all.
That's not new though. At this
No, it's
point,
not. But we do have some interesting changes here. This is actually a pretty beefy job, which I was not expecting.
yeah.
Um, so let's go ahead and go on through this. Next Wednesday on the 25th, there is going to be a new article about Frontiers, a dev insights. It will be they don't really say what it's going to be about. It just says new article delivered directly by Destiny 2 developers, focusing on answering some questions you all have about Frontiers. We'll see what's actually in that. I'm not expecting much substance to this, honestly.
Yeah.
We are still 9 months out from release. I wouldn't even expect to hear a real name for this until Heresy releases. Like I would venture to say that the day that Heresy releases, they do a showcase for Apollo for the first time. So we'll definitely cover that next week. Upcoming rewards changes with Revenant. Oh boy. So
I love starting out like that.
I love starting out like that. I actually really like what this is talking about. Um, Drop chances for non-adept weapons have been increased in advanced, expert, and master nightfalls when earning platinum and gold tier completions. With this change, non-adept nightfall weapons are now guaranteed to drop when completing a platinum run and a master nightfall, and a 50% chance to drop if it's a gold completion. Really like that change. Adept weapon drops from Grandmaster Nightfall has been slightly increased when getting gold completions, although platinum remains the best course of action. I, with the exception of a few very tricky champs that just like to teleport away or despawn, you should be getting platinum on every run anyways. Just because otherwise they usually repeat to shreds. And then there's going to be a change with Nightfall focusing. The weekly Nightfall weapon is going to cost 1 Vanguard Ingram and 1 Nightfall Cipher. Of course, you have to have it unlocked. And then the featured Adept Nightfall weapon, 1 Ingram, 50,000 Glimmer, 10 Nightfall Ciphers. I like this. This is a little bit cheaper than it is currently in terms of the Ingrams. I kind of wish it was taking effect this week so I could take advantage of it for Slammer, but so be it. I like that. And then they're going to buff Lost Sector rewards also. Whirlpool weapons will be farmable in Lost Sectors the very season they're added to the game. Previously, you had to wait till the next season or episode to get them this way. Weapon availability will rotate daily, but there are 4 new weapons being added to the World Loot Pool next season. Some of the other weapons you can still go and get include the Mikado 45, the Truth Teller, Rosarago 4. Funny enough, I'm looking at this and I am not. Crux Termination is still in there. I'm not seeing. I'm forgetting the name of it off the top of my head, but I'm not seeing the Solar Pistol that we all like, the Solar Sidearm we all like so much on here. So that if that is no longer farmable in here, that could be interesting. Kind of have to rely on Banshee and decoding the Banshee engrams. But yeah, just some really quick economy changes there. I think the bigger news really comes with the next one. Power levels are going to go up. Not by much, but they're going to increase by 10, which is going to happen again in Heresy to get some pursuit for endgame players in here, essentially, is what they say. I like that. I'm a fan. I do think that that gives you, like they say, that gives you value to completing raids, dungeons, grandmasters, things like that. Fire team power is still there, but for those who just, do you want to do nothing but play Destiny? There you go. You got a new grind. I personally think the pinnacle grind should always be there every season for those who do nothing but play this game. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I don't think we should be worried about power creep at all. 10 light is not going to make a huge difference. So I do like that. But the bigger, more meaningful change is there are a lot going on here with all of the classes. Jesus Christ. Specifically, Titans are getting an awful lot of stuff here from the combat gameplay team. Man, I prepared a drink, and I don't know if I have a big enough drink for this. There's a lot.
Do we need to pause so you can make a bigger one, Josh?
No, I have roughly 16 ounces of tea here. I think I'll be okay, but I'm gonna. I drank a lot of water this afternoon, and I downed a bottle of electrolytes too. Like I'm not even kidding. Like seriously, I was feeling really dehydrated this afternoon. It was a very hot September afternoon, uncharacteristically hot for us. We hit 100 today.
Ooh.
We've hit 100 the last couple days. We're all just like kind of holding out hope until next week when it's supposed to cool off for good. We're supposed to get several days of rain hopefully next week. But yeah, so when it's hot outside my apartment gets a little toastier, and I was out and about most of the day today. So being out in the sun, I got to make it to Monday. That's when it's going to finally cool off, which unfortunately means I need to go grocery shopping on like Sunday. I don't want to be out in the rain grocery shopping. Yeah. That's like my biggest first world problem. I don't like going grocery shopping in the rain.
I don't like going grocery shopping at all.
I do all of our grocery shopping, and I do the vast majority of our cooking. So, all right. Titan class identity reinforcement is a big thing that's being pushed this week. Titans are the bulwarks of their fire team. Sure. In a world without well, sure. Titans deserve a class identity that's more than the sum of its fists. We've heard your cries for more depth to Titan gameplay and more viability and high-tier endgame content, and we agree. Titans have so much more to give than blunt force trauma. They're frontliners, damage mitigators, and battlefield commanders. Okay, let's not blow A1 Johnny's head up too much here.
Look, I love the Titan as much as anybody, but even I know it's like...
We want to find non-destructive ways to add deaths to Titans, but these kinds of shifts take time. We're starting down that road with Revenant. Starting with Revenant, we're testing a change to barricades and other shields that will give Titans more of a traditional tank role. Titan Barricade now taunts enemies in front of the barricade. The taunt only occurs when there is a player standing behind the barricade. This is a substantial change for Titans and Destiny. For the first time, Titans can use their defensive abilities to draw enemy fire, therefore shielding their fire team from harm. The Unbreakable Shield and Sentinel Shield Guard also will taunt enemies, allowing you to become a mobile aggro magnet. If this change plays well, we're hoping to add this functionality to more of the defensive abilities, such as Ward of Dawn in the future. I really love this. This feels like a no-brainer. How did we take 10 years to get to this point? This feels like, it's funny because like it's something that feels so easy to say, and we're like, oh, I'm doing it right now. Like, oh, we could have had this like forever ago, but like it's one of those things that's so obvious that like you don't think to do it. I think in a lot of ways, this is cool though. I really love the idea of doing it for Ward of Dawn if this plays well on a smaller scale first.
Yeah.
So, big fan. Again, A1 Johnny, one of the only people I know who actually enjoys using Big Shield. Very, very excited for him to be able to draw some aggro and get the boss to fucking face us while we're using it. Enemies will typically prioritize bringing down the barricade above all else. There are combat situations where combatants may have higher priorities than the barricade, such as a Wyvern with a directive to march towards a conflux, or a legionary desperately trying to bring down a guardian in their super. The taunt doesn't turn enemies into mindless zombies, and enemies who are on a mission may prioritize the mission over the barricade. But for general rank and file enemies you see in activities from patrols to raids, this has been quite fun in the playtests. One important detail about this change is the combatants now shoot at the barricade itself instead of at guardians behind the barricade, making aiming at enemies from behind your barricade safer than before. To support the new aggro lifestyle, here are the changes to Barricades and Unbreakable. Towering Barricade and Rally Barricade across all subclasses. Reduce non-boss combatant damage dealt to the barricade by 50%. Increase splash damage reduction from combatants for players behind the barricade from 20% to 60%. Very excited about that. Barricades now grant moderate damage resistance versus combatants during cast animation. And then Unbreakable. Oh my god, so much here. Damage blocked by Unbreakable now generates grenade energy. Max duration has been increased. Forward movement speed now slows briefly when the shield is shot. Reduced Unbreakable's throw attack damage versus players by 20%. Increased damage bleed through from players by 15%. Fully charged Unbreakable attacks will now one-shot barricades in PvP, except when the barricade is under the effect of Heart of Inmost Light. Void Overshield is also getting a little bit of love here. PvE damage resistance is going from 50 to 70%, and the maximum effective HP is going up to 150 from 90. Very, 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 very excited for this. I think that these are common sense changes. Like they said, like if you're playing a tank, you're playing that tank fantasy. That's what you're playing as. You're playing as a tank. You're playing as a super soldier. Like, I remember in the very early days when they were first talking about the classes from Destiny, they compared the Titan to Master Chief.
And yeah, I mean, that's why I picked the Titan.
Yeah, this just makes sense. These are things that just make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it seems like such a small change. You might be like, oh, why is that such a big deal? It's adding things to classes without having to wait for a major expansion. And that's how the game should evolve. We shouldn't have to wait for classes to become more usable for a major expansion. These are things that, like, when they're ready to go, if you think they're ready to drop them in. Let us play with them. You know, I'd rather have it now than when we're preparing for a world's first raid in case something goes wrong. So I'm pretty excited about that. Prismatic Titans will inherit all applicable changes to Barricade, Unbreakable, and Sentinel Shield. They're also buffing several other abilities featured in the subclass. So they're global, which means they're both on the standard subclass and Prismatic. The biggest one is Consecration. Consecration will scorch and slam waves, will now shatter stasis crystals. That is super nice for some of those just bitch-ass bosses that love to throw the stasis crystals out. Those dread that like to use them. I'm specifically talking about those motherfuckers in the very first cooperative focus mission that like to just throw shitloads of crystals everywhere, and then when they shatter them, you're dead. I'm specifically talking about those motherfuckers here. This is great. I like this. Diamond Lance. Thrown or slammed diamond lances will now shatter stasis crystals. Slamming a lance will grant you and nearby allies 2 stacks of frost armor. That feels big. That's a big change. I would just be picking them up and slamming them to the ground, honestly. Give us some extra armor. Why not? So very, very excited about that. And you now will also be able to see how many seconds are remaining before the Diamond Lance disappears, similar to a Tangle. Knockout. Melee kills now cancel health and shield stun in addition to healing, allowing you to immediately start regenerating. This is a revert of a previous nerf that had too much of a negative impact on PvE. So we're just kind of bringing that back to where it should be. Shiver Strike now attaches a stasis explosive to the target on impact. It will slow players, freeze combatants, and refunds 80% melee energy on a whiff. So that is very, very cool. The cooldown for Facet of Command and Echo of Domineering has been reduced from 11 seconds to 4 seconds. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And then the unpowered melee from Titans, increased damage against players by 5%, increased damage versus PvE combatants by 20%, and increased stun multiplier. I do agree with the logic here that they should punch harder than the other classes. I do get that. I think that's going to be really frustrating, but that continues. That plays into like, oh, the Titan. Like I don't know if anybody's going to be changing to play a Titan base just off of that in Crucible. Like I imagine that's still going to be pretty much Hunterland, but this definitely for like things like mayhem, for momentum, for like zone capture, things like that. Titan definitely a little bit of a viable option. You could just how many times have you gone to punch somebody and it just hasn't done enough to kill them? They have that
Mhm.
little bit of health left. Well, now you got your answer. So 5%, I don't think is a huge deal. Very interested in that 20% though. I really like that against the PvE combatants. I think that's cool because I mean I can't tell you the amount of times I've been playing high end activities with John where he's just going bonk, 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 bonk. And granted, that's usually him throwing his hammer, but like God forbid that he can't pick up the hammer, then it's just punch, 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 punch. There you go, John. 20% extra damage just for you, baby. Just for you.
Just for you.
Corey, you are our resident Titan player. What are you feeling about this? You digging this?
I mean,
How
I'm
are we feeling about this?
I'm interested to see how these changes really work in theory, in action, right? Like, I mean, it always sounds either really good or scary on paper, but I think once you get out there and start using these things and you know using them in practice, especially in harder activities, like it'll really show what's worth keeping and what's might need tooled. But I think some of this stuff is especially somebody who likes to um, run around and punch people. The melee sounds fun. And a lot of these other things seem like pretty decent changes overall, in my opinion. I like the barricade stuff.
Barricade stuff is awesome. Barricade. Love it.
So we'll see. But I'm kind of excited for this. So
yeah, I think the barricade changes are the bigger deal. I like them. I'm more excited that they're looking to add more functionality to Ward of Dawn.
Yeah,
I think that's the bigger one for me because I mean, yeah, hey, a big ass bubble should draw aggro. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to camp out inside the bubble anyways. You're supposed to just sprint through it. So hey, if they're focused on that, great. You can be clearing enemies. You can clearing red and orange bars while other people are trying to do DPS and things like that. Like it's great. I like it. All right. It's fitting that we have a picture of the Arc Warlock here with the caption "Unlimited Power." There's some super abilities that are being buffed across the globe for everybody. Warlocks are going to see increased damage resistance by 5% from 53% to 58% while using Storm Trance. Chaos Reach damage resistance is going to go up by 10% from 45 to 55. And fixed some issues where it would not go through Sentinel Shield Guard or Sight and Barricades. And then Nova Warp increased PvE damage by 20%. Damage resistance goes up 7% from 51 to 58%. And now any Nova Warp detonation applies volatile regardless of charge duration. That could make this really fun. I don't know how viable that's going to be in like higher end PvE, but I think that could be fun in some seasonal activities, and especially in things like Iron Banner. I think that could be really fun. Hunters are going to see Golden Gun, Marksman, and Deadshot increase damage against base, elite, and mini boss combatants by 30%. Spectral Blades are going to see an increase in PvE damage by 20%, and damage resistance is going to go from 47 to 58%, 11% more damage resistance. I think that for a lot of us, Spectral Blades became kind of unusable a long time ago, unless you have very specific exotics. Or you're just really fucking good with them. I was never good with the arc knives in D1, so I kind of feel like I was never meant to succeed with Spectral Blades, funny enough. But so those of us who played PvP during Forsaken are still very triggered thinking about the activation sound for Spectral Blades. And then Titans. Oh boy, Titans have a lot of stuff here. Glacial Quake. Howl of the Storm can now be used while Glacial Quake is active. Twilight Arsenal. This is the one I'm really happy to see here. Thrown axe projectiles are now consistently tracking towards targets closer to the reticle and increase the axe relic weapon damage versus combatants by 23%. Absolutely fucking love this. Uh, John loves to run this. That thing's burst damage is just a godsend in higher end content. Very, very excited for it to get buffed by almost 25% is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Especially if, we can pass off the buffs to him, making him radiant and whatever, making him radiant, giving him some protection, things like that. Makes it even better. Or, we can proc volatile on a target right off the bat. Then he's absolutely cooking at that point. Love seeing that. Thunder Crash increased the base detonation damage by 33%. Really love that. Fist of Havoc is getting damage resistance increase from 51 to 58%, and slightly increased the light attack lunge range and the ability to target enemies vertically. So I think that is very, very interesting. And then it says, here's our final note. Act 2 of Revenant, we're investigating increasing roaming super uptime so they're more often available when you need them. Interested to see what exactly that means. Because
Yeah.
I think it's like, so that if you go and activate it, maybe there's a way to like get out of the animation or something without having to have a specific exotic. Because how many times have we gone to activate a super and then an immune shield goes up? Or just
Yep.
like tons of red bars start throwing themselves, red and orange bars start throwing themselves in front of the boss, Mr. Get Down, Mr. President style. It's bad. It's bad. It's not fun for anybody. None of us enjoy it. I think this is going to be fun. I really specifically out of all of these love the changes to Twilight Arsenal and Thunder Crash. I think those are the two biggest ones. If I had to call out a third one, Nova Warp, I think has a really good change. Big fan there. But yeah, adding versatility to these kits is something that needs to happen. Twilight Arsenal really, I know it didn't come together at the last minute because we definitely knew about it, but man, it feels like that one came in real hot out of the new supers. It definitely felt like I don't want to say the least polished, but those projectiles track like ass. They track very badly. And I understand, like, you don't want it to be, like, a guaranteed one-hit kill. Like, there needs to be some sort of aiming. But, I mean, John would go to throw it, and it would, like, curve hard right. Like it was in fucking Wanted.
Mm.
And it just, it's terrible. It's terrible. Nothing more soul-crushing than seeing that when you need the boss damaged in Glassway. Nothing more soul-crushing. Space Lightning and Sharp Knives is the name of our final section here for sandbox updates. For both Stormcalling and Prismatic Warlocks, we want to increase the usability of Lightning Surge. So you will now have 50% damage resistance versus Titan Barricades during the lunge, and casting Lightning Surge also makes you amplified, which makes a lot of sense. All right. Here we go. Prismatic Hunter. Prismatic Hunter, the one that is the bane of everybody's existence right now. Since the launch of the final shape, Prismatic Hunter has been both a highly used and highly effective subclass according to our data. We've made some PvP-focused changes to Prismatic Hunter abilities during this past season, and we'll continue to monitor its PvP performance and make changes as necessary. In Revenant, we're making the following changes to Hunter, Prismatic Hunter, and Hunter subclasses to feature these abilities. Hailfire Spike Prismatic Grenade, added projectile tracking and aim assist to increase consistency in hitting targets. Thank God. I can't tell you the amount of times it's just flown through somebody's legs. That, again, soul crushing. You're counting on that damage to like just be there on the ground as a deterrent, and it just flies straight through them. Yeah, no. Threaded Spectre, very excited for this one. Threaded Spectre, increased detonation damage against PvE combatants by 33%. Not like it's you want the threaded spike is what I was thinking of, the melee. But I think making Threaded Spectre more effective in PvE combat, again, it kind of plays in with the barricade of it all. You know, if you use you can go out there, you can be fighting, you can dodge and get away from the enemies. The enemies are going to be tracked towards both of those, which is great. And I think increasing the size of the detonation and increasing the damage done is it's a good option because like when I use my dodge, I use the reload dodges. That's what I like to do. I don't do the quick dodge. I do the reload dodge because I want to get back to shooting things. You know, and I know that's not like the traditional way to play Hunter, but whatever. That's how I play my subclass. That's how I always play it. I like dodging to reload. I'm a big fan of it. And then the swarm grenade. Swarm grenade sub munitions are now easier for players to shoot down and can now chain detonate other sub munitions when destroyed, which is interesting. I like that you can shoot those apart because how many times have you been blocked off from going down a path in PvP in a small map, especially because of these little bastards?
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Big fan. And then on the PvE side, the combination blow has been a little too hot. So rescaled healing from a flat 80 HP per kill to 10, 80, 60, 40 per kill based on stat count. No longer clears health and shield stun on kill. Remove the 1.5 second internal cooldown on healing. So combination blow still a really, really good option. Maybe it's not the greatest option. So wrapping up, we're hard at work on future releases and we're more optimistic than ever about the future of Destiny and its sandbox. We're excited to take big swings, make drastic changes, deliver new innovations. And in the short term, we hope you're looking forward to Revenant as much as we are. I'm curious to see how often we're going to get updates. I know that they're saying that for next year's roadmap, presumably you're going to get 2 big updates a year. The sandbox changes are going to come with the season launching, and I suspect you'll get a mid-season patch at some point. Maybe when that second little mini content drop happens at the halfway point, maybe that's when you get another one because, hey, that would keep with, every 3 months we're going to give you sandbox updates. You know, I think 18 weeks is too long to not have updates during these episodes. I do think they did a good job of just not waiting until they had a ton of things to roll, just rolling things out as they were ready during Echoes. So, hey, kudos there. You now have 18 weeks of data from the launch of the final shape until now to play with. Revenant looks like they've got some great changes lined up. I'm curious to see what else in the sandbox changes with weapons. Hopefully, we get some details on that next week. We do know there's a few things coming in next week's TWAB. So fingers crossed we get some details there because I'd really like to know kind of what we're building into. I know we're getting the artifact mods, but I'm gonna need a little bit more details. I want to start getting ready, start getting prepped. Start getting prepped. Beyond that, there really is just not. There's not a lot left here. I'm going to be completely honest.
We get a cool look at the Ace of Spades.
Yeah, that thing, like I said, fucking unit. Very excited. Mine is hopefully, fingers crossed, shipping soon. They are shipping them very quickly. People were ordering them and then they were shipping a day or two later. So I am hoping that mine ships out. Everything else I ordered that day, with the exception of my seal, has already shipped. I got myself one of those "Your Light Fades Away" shirts. I really love that insignia of the skull and the triangle. I've always really liked it, and I missed a chance to get the shirt the first time I was around years and years and years ago. So happy to get that. Got some armory pins. Needed to add them to my pin board. But still waiting on my my wonderful, wonderful Ace of Spades to ship. I need that thing. What else do we have here? If you live in Los Angeles, or well, I guess if you have 3 more days in LA to go see this. If not, it is going to the Destiny Art Show. Will be going to New York and London after that. There's an example of some of the pieces that are featured there. Different designs of ghosts. I do like a lot of the artwork that is there. I have seen a lot of the pieces. Big fan. I would really love to buy prints of these, but you can only buy them if you went to the art show, apparently. Because they had a lot of the artists there signing stuff, and that's massively frustrating because they have one specifically, and you can see it in one of these images, that looks like an old school X-Men comic book cover. that I would 100% buy that has Cade, Zavala, and Ikora on it. I would absolutely buy that and frame it. But yeah, nice little art show going on. If you happen to be going to TwitchCon this weekend, which I don't know if anybody is, there is the Bungie Foundation will be there giving away this sick ass emblem. I say again, if you go and get me this emblem, you'll be my favorite listener forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think this emblem is fucking rad.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, 10 years of Orbit music. It is a video that covers a decade of Destiny Orbit music, and it's on a loop. It's just a shame that basically everybody who composed that music has been laid off. So, in case you want to get just absolutely furious about stuff, there's a video for you. And that's it. So next week, we'll be sharing a bit more about the new dungeon, about new artifact perks, what changes we have planned for PvP, new rewards, and more in the coming weeks.
Ooh, so, it's exciting.
I'm very, very curious to see what we got coming here. I am stoked for this dungeon. I'm still really buzzing over the excitement of there's going to be a contest mode for it. The goal is to get the contest clear. I will be jumping in with Joasis that day, doing the dungeon, and we'll be doing another run with A1 Johnny that night when he gets off work. But I'm very, very excited for this. Storming a Vampire Keep absolutely is something in my wheelhouse.
Nice. I'm excited for this vampire hunting thing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be super cool. Potion craft. It's going to be fun. Good, clean fun.
Yep. I'm excited. I'm excited. I got to get more details on that dungeon. I'm very excited. We're only a couple weeks away. October 8th is when the season launches, and then the 11th is when we're going to get the dungeon. So it's really only about 3 weeks away. Yep. We have 3 weeks until the dungeon comes out. I'm looking at my calendar right now. Two episodes. Well, 3 episodes technically, but only 2 episodes or two of our episodes remaining until the new season launches. My estimations were off just a little bit. So, yeah, we've got 2 weeks left in the season. Man, I guess I kind of want to shift talk to the season. I finished up the storyline this week. I gotta confess, I'm not super impressed. I was really hoping that we would get some cool revelations. And I do think, again, I think the dialogue that you get when you go and do the side puzzles and you get the secret chests, and specifically whenever you're in Maya's lab during the Encore mission, I think all that is great stuff. This final cutscene was maybe the most underwhelming final cutscene of a release since... I mean, I'm going to go all the way back to Shadowkeep. In terms of just like, oh, they bailed out. Like, you confront Maya with Ikora and Saint, and she freezes all 3 of you, including Ikora, which was really weird to me. It also was kind of weird that she froze the Guardian. Unless you play an Exo, you shouldn't be getting frozen, essentially.
Right.
Saint breaks out of it. Ikora breaks out of it. We sit there just fucking foaming at the mouth, apparently. And she gets knocked into the Vex Milk and just disappears.
Vex Milk.
I confess that I'm frustrated with the way that this ended. Not just on that front. I mean, very clearly, Maya is not defeated. Maya's gonna come back. I would be very shocked if if either Apollo or Behemoth was not about Maya Sundaresh in some way. I'd be very surprised. We said for a long time that the Vex have to have something. Like, the Vex have never had a major expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really frustrating when you think about 10 years of Destiny and just there really hasn't been an amazing Vex story told. Like, there's been one in the background, sure, like the story of the Ishtar Collective, the story of Clovis Bray.
I wonder if they're struggling to just make it compelling enough. You know, I mean, like
They've laid so much of the groundwork, though, is the problem.
I know, but like it just feels like I feel like it's just that problem of like there's an interesting thought there, but how do you make it, more focused and interesting? And like I don't
Yeah.
think Maya Sundaresh is going to be that, unfortunately. Even
I,
though they're
so I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think Maya's absolutely, with how insane Maya is now, I think that she's absolutely capable of being that, of being an interesting adversary. And I think that putting her in there gives a face to the Vex also. I think that's been one of the hardest things about the Vex is that they don't they don't talk or like really communicate with us except through like binary languages.
Mhm.
And I think that was one of the great things about last year. When you look at the storylines, I think that it was a pretty rough year for storytelling overall. But there's this kind of through line of the Vex. If you look at, starting with Lightfall, you had Lightfall, you had the Vexcalibur mission during Deliverance, you had the Wishkeeper mission and the Coil stuff that was going on in Season of the Wish. I think that and then you have the Veil containment missions. Like they're clearly trying to establish a Vex story, and Echoes is kind of like the culmination of that in a lot of ways. I do suspect that when we do face off with Maya, because it said like, oh, Maya fled into the Vex network and this and that, I suspect that Asher will come back into the story in a very real way instead of just like, hey, you had to kind of read between the lines to understand that that's fucking Asher.
Mhm.
Um, and I would expect, assuming he's still around, I would assume Mithrax to be part of that story as well. There's so many characters. Like Maya actually represents, I think, maybe one of the greater threats that you could be facing. Like it's not a universal threat, but this is a human mind who went nuts and basically chose to ally with the Vex, kind of like Clovis Bray.
Mhm.
I think it would be interesting to bring Bray exoscience back into all this. Europa's still there, the Deepstone Crypt is still there, that giant ass portal is still there. There are avenues, and like the portal goes to the Vex Forge. It goes to the Vex Star. I think there are some fascinating ways you could take this, and I think having characters like Maya and Asher within the Vex network and Chioma. There's multiple Chiomas, obviously. Um, Even though we know Prime Chioma is dead now, she was experimented on because
Yeah.
Maya's nuts. Um, I would say that you have three very compelling characters who I think have been written very well over the years. I just wonder if the story team is up to being able to do that and tell all these other narratives because they're so depleted.
Yeah.
And that's where my bigger concern comes from. But if we're going to explore new frontiers, I think that Maya and Clovis kind of have to be antagonistic forces representing the Vex at that point. Because
Yeah.
frontiers doesn't just have to mean, oh, we're going to Reese or we're going to Tora Bottle or this and that or we're going to a new planet. Like I actually really love a destination that was just us within the Vex network. I think that would be fascinating for an actual like designed location and not just a strike or some seasonal activities.
Mhm.
I think that there's so many raw possibilities, or like, oh, it's half Vex Network, half Vex Star or something, or a moon that they've completely terraformed. Like there are so many things you could do with storytelling. I think there, but it's more of the same. It's like, oh, you're really setting up, you're kind of setting up for the future, and it doesn't feel like we're going to get back to this anytime soon, given they didn't tease in last week's articles that, oh yeah, we're setting up things right away in Echo, like they said that these episodes were supposed to tie up storylines, and I don't feel like anything got tied up this season except for like maybe you put a bow on Failsafe being a character in this universe, which did we really need to do that? I mean, I'm always here for failsafe, but like, we've talked about this a few times now. When's the last time we even thought about failsafe
Right.
in the context of the story?
Right.
Cade's death, maybe. We haven't had anything that requires us to go to Nessus in years and years, and like that's what they keep joking about it.
Right. Man, I don't know, man.
I don't know
I
either.
want them to I just want them to like I just want a good story, man. I really do.
Yeah,
You know.
I want a good story. I feel like we're going to get that. I feel like we're going to get a good story, but man,
Yeah.
I think like the Vex have the, and I'm talking in circles, but the Vex have the ability to be this fascinating enemy race. And now that you have things that can communicate for them and actually, like tell a story, be the story carriers, like I think it's time to kind of pull the trigger on that. But how long is it going to be into Echoes? Like if it's another like 3-4 years, like are the OGs going to care anymore?
Right.
No, we're not. Like that's, to me, that's the biggest lingering question out of Light and Dark is like, what the fuck is up with the Vex?
Right.
Like even when it comes to like seasonal activities and seasonal storylines, after Splicer, we really didn't get anything else with the Vex.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it that way, and that's a whole nother thing entirely. Like, oh wow, we really didn't get them in seasonal stuff for a long time. You fought them a couple times on like Europa during Plunder, and that's about it. I think.
Right.
Other than that, all the seasonal content was focused around the Fallen, the Hive, the Cabal, the Taken. Like not even really the Taken past arrivals, if we're being honest.
Right.
At least off very briefly off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. You've got other stories. Like, it does feel like the next two with Revenant and Heresy really does feel like that's probably going to bring those storylines to a close, which is great. But Echoes, I think, needed more substance. Like, I was playing with Ronnie last weekend, and we were talking about it. I was just like, man, I had to agree with what he was saying last week, and we read a lot of Ronnie's comments on the show. The vehicle in which Echoes was delivered was very poor. The story is there. If they would have just, I really wish they would have leaned more into like the sci-fi, like out of body horror story that we get told through the voice logs and through finding the secret chests and things like that. But
Right.
it's too little too late by the time you get to that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so Maya fled with the Echo. Oh boy. Surely that's going to come back up at some point, but who the fuck even knows at this point?
Right.
Like, so that's insanely frustrating to me. And I don't think there's 2 weeks left. I don't think there's any magical cutscene coming in. The epilogue of the season, just basically making you go do Encore yet again and collect 8 fragments throughout, was frustrating at best. And I don't say all this to complain and like bitch and moan, but it's just 10 years. I expect better delivery at this point, especially over a plot thread that like some of us have been theorizing about since like the earliest days of Destiny 1, Maya, Sundaresh, the Ishtar Collective, things like that. And
Right.
especially the last couple years, it's been really, I would say, ever since we went to Europa, it's been kind of a slow burn, like telling the story of Maya and Shioma and Clovis and like all of them. And it really kicked up a notch with the discovery that, oh, they founded Neomuna. Like, holy shit, that was a genuinely massive revelation for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Veil containment stories and how they disappeared through the Veil, and like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, it's like I'm in an episode of Lost, and I don't like that feeling.
Season 1 or season 5?
I mean, both good. I'm feeling like I'm in season 2 right now, where mysteries are just being thrown at the wall and very little's getting answered. Honestly, so smaller story arcs I think are going to benefit them a lot going forward. But yeah, I'd really like to see this one resolved, because I think there's so much potential there. I just don't think they quite know how to tell the story, and that's okay. Just, I don't know. After 10 years, I shouldn't still have all these questions remaining about an enemy race that was introduced 2/3 of the way through the original campaign.
Yeah. Well, I hope they pull it out, man. I really do. I do think the idea of Maya Sundaresh is interesting, and like you said, it does give a face to a race that we haven't had
Yeah.
really any face since really I would say since Atheon really, but even Atheon was just kind of like a
Yeah.
not like a real character at that point. You
I
know what
mean,
I mean?
the Atheon, we fought the Gate Lord how many times now? Um, I mean, the Undying Mind is one that comes to mind right away. Remember, in Undying, believe it or not, there was a story in Undying. We go through like all these different timelines. Every single Vex offensive we did is a different timeline we're going into to kill the Undying Mind. Um, I think that the Taken Vex Mind Quoria
Yeah.
is actually really fascinating. But again, that was back in Splicer, and it was
Right.
really like we just after during the Dark Knight.
Right.
So like Clovis and Maya are kind of the closest faces we have to this, which I think it's great to put a human face on that because
Yeah.
you know Maya became obsessive. Clovis was just evil.
Yeah.
So I think there's two different dichotomies. So I am interested to see what they do there. I'm interested to see what happens with Revenant and Heresy. But this season, like overall, I just, especially Act Three, has really just. I think Act One was actually like, in terms of activities, Act One's probably the best. I don't particularly like Enigma Protocol that much, but I did really like Breach Executable as an activity that you could just matchmake into expert difficulty was really nice.
Hmm.
But also the loot was rewarding. I
Yeah.
liked that aspect of it. Enigma Protocol is fine once you've run it a few times. Like, okay,
Hmm.
putting the double perk weapons in there was a good idea, but the middle act, Act Two, only having the three battlegrounds was rough, and
Yeah.
really only the third one is like of any consequence in moving the story forward. You get that one little mission with Saint Osiris, which admittedly, it was really cool to go back to the Infinite Forest. I thought that was a really cool, nice little touch to go back to Saint's grave.
Hmm.
But that was we've said like that's really the only like forward movement the story had gotten in 6 weeks, quote unquote, of storytelling, and then everything else
Right.
is just kind of told through voice logs after that. Like
Hmm.
nothing really happens on screen, and that's really frustrating for a season that is like 18, 19 weeks long. It just kind of leaves us going like, what the fuck.
Right.
So I it is what it is. I'm not gonna cry over spilled milk, but this really has started to feel like Undying 2.0, just like with a better story. We didn't build a Vex portal in the tower this time,
Hmm.
so I consider that to be a win. But
It's true.
I'm gonna need Revenant and Heresy to like really dial up the story content for me here. The story content, but also just like make the activities more fun. Like I don't think Encore is a bad mission. I think the fact that you have to do it like 8 times is bad. That's bad mission design to me.
Yeah.
And it's just so it is. They said it's the biggest exotic mission ever, which it fucking is because of all the hiking you do during it. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
You traverse so much of it. I really wish that some of the changes that were done to Nessus in this season would stay in the game. I think that would be so cool to see Nessus terraformed. Like it's been there for 7 years. It's time for a change.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
I don't know how you would go about doing that. I don't know like if that would be you know hard or easy to do permanently or what.
Yeah.
So
Oh. Well, I guess we'll find out.
I guess so.
We got to go vampire hunt now though, Josh. So,
Vampire hunt and potion crafting. Very very excited for potion crafting.
yes.
Um. All right. I guess we don't have that much left. We have a couple of we have a couple of what you call it. So we have a couple questions, and that's it. We have a couple questions, and we got a lore corner, and that's about all. So
Well, should we get into questions then, Josh?
yeah, I think we should. So pulling up questions. Of course, we have two questions from Jiggly Panda. Well, one is a question, and one's a hot take, apparently. Do you think Destiny will ever get back to the heydays or even close to how it used to be? Yeah, dude, we were there 2.5 months ago.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna
the
say
final shape is literally the best expansion there's ever been in the history of the game. Yes.
Yeah, I would argue.
Yes. Now, can it reach that height again? I don't know with the depleted staff. I think it's going to be very
Right.
hard.
Well, we were talking about that. Like the Witch Queen was up, up to that point was like the best, and then we got Lightfall. And we had this. I feel like we have the same.
We have this
discussion, like, every 6
conversation.
months.
Like, yeah, like I feel like every 2 to 3 months after an expansion, we have this talk, and it's not me getting upset with Panda. It's just it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
yes, they have shown that they are capable of doing it. We all wondered after Forsaken, God, can they ever get back to this? And the Witch Queen did it. And
Yeah.
then, Lightfall wasn't good, but and the seasons weren't good either. But oh my God, like this is great. Like I would say just keep an open mind. Like, and everybody's going to rate things differently. Like, I'm sure there's people who I don't know who they are, but don't rate the final shape as highly as Corey and I do.
Yeah.
You know, I hold Beyond Light in a little bit more esteem than a lot of other folks do. I like my seasonal rankings are all over the place. Like, it's did you have fun? Do you think that the world evolved at all? Do you think that the story evolved? Do you think the characters grew? Like, if so, then yeah, sure, it's gonna be up there. Like I'm actually like talking myself into being excited for Apollo. I think the idea of doing something new is just so fascinating. Like non-linear storytelling, great. We were talking about Prince of Persia and like Metroidvanias earlier, and I think that being an inspiration for the first new expansion in this new initiative called Frontiers is great. I think that's great. I'm very excited for it. I'm interested to see what happens. These next 2 episodes, I think, are going to be bangers. Like I was excited for some Vex stuff, but like that kind of fell flat. We know we got 2 more dungeons coming, before this next one. We don't know anything about a reprised raid yet. Hopefully, that's coming soon. But yeah, we just came off the best raid ever, one of the best exotic missions, if not the best exotic mission in the history of the franchise. A fantastic campaign with lots of epilogue storytelling that was just mamma mia. It was good.
Yep.
Like, just because Echoes was a letdown doesn't mean that, the final shape is retroactively terrible. Like, the final shape is great. We can all agree the final shape was great, but Echoes is underwhelming, and like that's fine. Like, again, I really like the storytelling. I like the story in it, but like the vehicle is terrible. So yes, to answer your question, we absolutely can get back to the heydays. We were just there. We were just there. But this community is so fickle that the second that we have a down week on something, they're like, they're busting out the pitchforks. I'm fucking over it.
Yes.
And then with Call of Duty coming out in less than a month, I have a hot take for you guys. I think Ghosts is a top 5 Call of Duty and Advanced Warfare is a top 10. I'd love y'all's thoughts on this. As our resident Call of Duty player, Ghosts is not a top 5, top 10, or even top 15 Call of Duty. It is arguably the worst in the entire franchise to me.
I think Ghost was the last one I actually like really played.
I think the only one that's worse, the only 2 games that are worse than Ghosts in the entire mainline Call of Duty franchise are legitimately the new Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 in terms of a campaign. Like, strictly in terms of a campaign, they're pretty damn bad. I didn't even like the Ghost multiplayer that much. I did not like the extraction mode. I was not a fan. As a package, I do not think Ghosts was very good. That was the infamous game that was revealed during the Xbox One announcement, where they talked about fish and underwater tech for like 10 minutes, which has never sat well with me. God, dude, what a rough fucking game. Advanced Warfare, however, I will absolutely agree with you. That is a top 10 Call of Duty, 100%. If I had to like just rapid fire off my top 5 favorite CODs, I'm an older COD player. You guys can understand. I was in high school when Modern Warfare came out. dating myself a little bit here, but like it's Modern Warfare, it's Modern Warfare 2, the OGs, the two OGs. It's Call of Duty 2, which is to this day one of the greatest launch titles of all time. There maybe is like 4 launch games that have ever been better for a home console, and they're like they all have the Legend of Zelda in them, I think, or Halo. I don't think that's too much of a hot take, personally. I would probably put Black Ops 2 on that list in my top 5.
I really liked Black Ops 2. That was the last one I played seriously, I think.
I came along to Black Ops 2 really late.
I also played it on the Wii U, so
but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And then for number 5, I'm gonna say for me it's either the original, or it's the original 2003 COD, or it's I'm really tempted to put World at War or Black Ops 1 here. God, just that Modern Warfare 3 is also really good. It's just like playing a dumbass Michael Bay movie. I'd probably put either the original COD, or I would put Modern Warfare 3 there. Like, just God, those were so good. Those first Modern Warfare games were really good. I should say all these rankings are done without me having played Modern Warfare 2019. I've not played that. I also did enjoy the parts I played at Vanguard. I liked Vanguard, not from a multiplayer standpoint, obviously. I don't play World War II games in multiplayer, but I did actually like the campaign for Vanguard. Black Ops Cold War is interesting. I haven't played enough of it to be able to rank it, but yeah, it's basically just like if Vince Zampella worked on it, it's probably in my top 5. Let's be honest. He of course got fired after Modern Warfare 2. That whole catastrophe happened with him and Jason West. They went on to go form Respawn, make Titanfall, and all that. But this is going to be an old reference that Corey will understand, but Call of Duty was born out of Medal of Honor Allied Assault.
When they left EA to go form Infinity Ward.
They left EA to go make Infinity Ward because they wanted to do that, but on a grander scale. And we got Call of Duty.
Yep.
So, and like, I said, COD 2 launched with the 360. It was the first real Call of Duty on consoles. We had Finest Hour the year before, which was not good, by the way. Finest Hour is rough. It's
what about Big Red 1?
Big Red 1 is even worse. I remember the first time Treyarch made a Call of Duty, it was Call of Duty 3, and I was just like, oh my god, this is going to be terrible. And it was. I'm sorry, nothing made me want to play as the Polish army in World War II.
Oh, but I heard they did so good.
They touted that there were 4 different factions to play as, and it's like, oh, who's the 4th? Oh, the Polish? It's like, okay, that's a thing that happened. Yeah, I don't know, man. But I'm one of those weirdos who loves the Call of Duty campaigns. I like, sometimes you just want something that's big, loud, turn your brain off, fun, and that's kind of what those campaigns have always been for me. Up until Modern Warfare 2 and 3, I did not enjoy either of those.
Well, the thing is terrible. I'm not interested in playing the multiplayer anymore, just because I don't have time, and I don't want to pay $70 for a campaign. And so when they start rolling out on Game Pass, maybe I'll revisit some of these. And I am very excited for Black Ops 6, though. Like, all things considered, I am very excited for Black Ops 6. I really enjoyed the betas that we got this last month. Played a lot of that with my boy Ray. We got really into it. I'm very excited for the campaign. I think the campaign footage has looked awesome. It is a truly different Call of Duty campaign, which interests me. But yeah. I think this game is just the boost that brand needs. I still wish they would take a few years off, but I understand when you move 30 million copies without even blinking, you're going to keep them coming. So, God, dude, I just want to go play Call of Duty 2. I really love Call of Duty 2. Like, in terms of a World War II game, that's probably the best one I've ever played. It's like that, and Medal of Honor Allied Assault might be the second best. Like, Vince Zampella is a dude who knows fucking World War II. Especially the D-Day landings and things like that. I really, really, really like number 2, though. Like, when you think about
the best launch titles of like the last 20 years. It's like, I don't know, Halo, Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, and this. Like, those might be the four best launch games of the last 20-25 years. And if you went to 25, you would have to include the Dreamcast lineup, which was fucking bonkers at launch. But like, and at that point, it's like Sonic Adventures on that list. So I don't know. Just now, I'm getting all nostalgic, and I really, really, God, I love Modern Warfare 1. Modern Warfare 1 is still like one of the best FPS campaigns of all time. There's no doubt about that. The story of Price and Soap is so good. So good.
Yeah.
I like two is that, but like on a bigger scale, a little bit more like kind of free movement, I guess, in some of the levels. We all remember the doing the fucking airplane boneyard level. Again, one of the great FPS levels of all time. Just got great games. Great games. Call of Duty used to be so fucking good, man. Like I still I think it's fine in terms of multiplayer. You know what you're getting at this point if you're buying it. I say as someone who bought both 2 and 3 for Modern Warfare after not having bought one since Ghosts. I get it. But I hope they go back to Advanced Warfare to finish out Panda's question. I want them to go back to Advanced Warfare. I think the exosuits made things very interesting, and I think exo zombies in particular was fascinating. We already got to Cade's question about the war of attrition with the cricket in my air events, but Kate also left a nice comment here for us that I want to read to everybody. The past few weeks have been extremely tough for me as a father of twin boys that are age 4. One of my sons was recently diagnosed with epilepsy, in and out of the hospital to try and get medicine right to help eliminate the seizures. And it's taken a toll on me. No appetite, no motivation to do anything, back and forth to the hospital. This pod has been my happy place every Friday since this started happening. Thank you, Josh, Corey, and the Tower Casuals community for helping me smile at least once a week. And you know what, guys? That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That's why, I took it, really seriously when we were getting some comments about like, oh my God, are you just gonna be like downers? Like, is the pod happier this week? Like, man, realistically, like, there's gonna be weeks where it's not. Where hey, we've got shit going on, or there's stuff going on, in the world of this game. Like, stuff's happening at Bungie, stuff's happening with our favorite creatives are being fired. We're going to react appropriately. Like, we'd be doing you a disservice if we didn't, but it's comments like this that make it worth it.
Yeah.
I take that really seriously, but we are all hoping for the best for your son as you guys navigate this. I get it, man. My girlfriend went through some pretty bad chest pains a few Christmases ago while we were doing this show. Actually, it was about a year and a half into the show. Year and a half in? Yeah, year and a half into the show, we were going through some things, and they were trying to rule out autoimmune diseases and things like that. She was just ridiculously sick, and it took us a long time to get the right medication. And it took a lot of strain on us. So I get it. I obviously haven't been exactly in the same situation. I can't even imagine what it's like as a parent. Corey can probably talk about that a little bit better than I can, but I get it, man. Health concerns they're hard to navigate, so if we can provide a little bit of an escape for, even the hour and a half that we do the show, that means a lot to us.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever told this on a show before, but just to try to relate to you a little bit. So, I mean, obviously I've got my own mental stuff. I've talked about that before, but the problem with that is that a lot of it is genetic, and my 6-year-old daughter is going through a lot of things, and nights are rough sometimes. And there are days where I just don't want to do anything, but you push through because you got to be there for your kids. You got to try, and it's hard. I 100% understand, and I feel for you, and I feel what you're going through, and I know it's different than what I'm going through, but it's I sympathize, empathize. I don't remember which is the right word, but you know, it's
Empathize.
hopefully, you know, we're doing our best to take your mind off of it for an hour and a half or so every week or
Mhm.
so, you know. So hang in there. It'll get better. That's always that initial shock of the diagnosis that is, you know, kind of the I want to say the worst part of these things, and then you'll learn how to handle it, and then it'll become a routine, and you'll get through it. Some days are definitely harder than others, but um, you know, it'll get better. Um, just be there for your kids, man.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to move into lore corner. There's no good way to transition out of that. There just isn't. We have a lore corner tonight from the book Polyphony, which is what you get for doing the radio messages in the helm. This is the final page of that lore book called Tech Support. Incoming message. Failsafe system alert pulled her attention from Nimbus, who was excitedly pacing the helm while delivering a spirited recounting of the last Iron Banner finals. Saladin had been routing the feeds to Neomuna, and the Cloud Strider was thoroughly enraptured by the high drama, judging by Failsafe's internal chronometer, entirely too enraptured. She shrewdly routed the message alerts to her external display screen. Nimbus, buddy, she began. Hint taken. Nimbus grinned, spreading their huge hands wide. I'll let you get back to your whole being a ship thing. If you see Osiris, tell him Jizu Calorando is looking for an interview about his sick bird hat. Or no, say that the Cloud Arc is losing integrity and only the biorhythms from like a truly old and decrepit dude will save it. I'm on it, Fail said and pushed an ASC2 image of a thumbs up to her display. Nimbus laughed and gave Failsafe two enormous finger guns as they transmatted out. Never mind. Failsafe accessed her messages. She batch approved the bounty request from Guardian, still scouting Nessus for the remains of the Conductor's Vex. She puzzled next over a message from Houselight Scribe Ido, as it did not appear to contain any discernible requests. She marked it for non-urgent reply and sorted it into one of her new subfolders. Socialization, platonic. Another message was a scheduled reminder to familiarize herself with the Helm systems, which were woefully underprepared for the kind of worst-case scenario she had encountered with the Exodus Black. She would have to update the safety systems, bring emergency transmit relays online, calculate possible terrestrial touchdown sites in the unlikely event of a forced landing. Unquestionably important work, but for the first time, she felt like it could wait. Failsafe eagerly processed the next series of critical system messages. One unintended but entirely welcome consequence of the increased Guardian activity on Nessus was that the resident Fallen were being actively discouraged from raiding her wreckage. Without the constant incursions, her power systems were slowly beginning to build a reserve charge. Low power alert, 6%, the warnings blared, and Failsafe beeped with satisfaction. There was a sudden burst of gold flame, a scattering of reflected figures, and Osiris transmatted onto the helm. Failsafe, he said brusquely as he walked towards her console. Osiris, she replied, and opened a swirling readout of polynomial spiles. Osiris and Saint had been journeying into the Nessus Vex network and searching for the conductor, one simulated branch at a time. Osiris highlighted portions of 17 intersecting wavelengths. Set is cleared, he commanded, and Failsafe changed their color to a bright lime green. Osiris zoomed display out, and the green became a pixel-wide dot amidst the swaying fractal triangle of the network. 17 down, Failsafe said. Infinity to go. Osiris sighed wearily in agreement. And the odds that those 17 have already been overwritten are? He asked. Failsafe gave a low-pitched beep. Do you need the real math on that? Because it's a 99 point a whole lot of nines. Osiris shook his head. She's somewhere in the network, along with the echo of command. And even though she knows the chances of finding her are impossibly small, Saint is continuing to search. He absently drummed his hands on Failsafe's control panel. What do you think he'll do if he finds her? She asked. I believe he will. How should I put this? Osiris said softly. The faintest of smiles played over his face. Saint doesn't have much patience for anyone who makes those he cares about feel helpless. Osiris's gaze wandered to the research bays, and Failsafe dispensed a synthesized mealworm into Captain Jacobson's enclosure. The proto-frog blinked slowly, then devoured the grub in one clumsy gulp. Osiris nodded in approval. Generate a fresh set of network coordinates, please, he said, and failsafe word in response as numbers filled her screen. She sent them to Osiris's datapad with a reassuring tone, and he turned to leave. Osiris, she said, Nimbus misses hanging out with you. You ought to visit him sometime. Osiris tightened his lips. Very well, he said. Then he hesitated. Failsafe, be thankful that incoming message. The alert-filled failsafe's display screen, and Osiris stopped himself with a half shake of his head and a smirk. I'll leave you to it, he said, and vanished in another flash of golden fire. Failsafe sorted through her new messages. Low power alert, 7%, read the critical warning, and she dismissed it happily. So first off, how is Nimbus and Osiris transmitting onto the helm when they don't have ghosts? Is this just like technology that everyone has that have like completely blocked out of my mind?
It must be.
Because how did Nimbus just click fast travel all the way from Neptune?
It's that surfboard, man.
I don't think he's riding through the galaxy like the Silver Surfer. Like, the one Cloud Strider is just hanging out on the fucking helm watching Iron Banner finals. Jesus Christ, guys. But on a more serious note, I do really love this because Failsafe feels like she has a purpose again. And it really left me uncomfortable and annoyed when basically the summation of the end of the season for Failsafe was, well, you guys don't need me anymore. I'm going to go back to Nessus. Bye. And basically just like kind of pieced out. I think this gives her renewed focus, and also seeing that her reserve power is finally going up for the first time since she crashed like 1,000 years ago is great to see. Like, Failsafe, I do think is going to continue to be a part of the story. I'd be very surprised if she was not permanently on the helm going forward. I think you have a golden opportunity here for the AI. And I mean, she's one of our only links to the Golden Age, too. So, being a Golden Age AI, which is interesting. I think, especially if you're going to tell stories with, like, about the Vex, like, she's a great ally to have there, obviously. I love the idea of her just batch approving everything, too. I think that's absolutely hilarious. The message from Ido, just filing that into platonic socialization is about the most fail-safe thing I can think of to do here. I find that very funny. I like to think that Ido has argued with her in the past. There is another passage. I think it's number 8, where Ido requests to travel with Saint and Osiris to Nessus, and Saint is like, absolutely not, and basically goes into like dad mode with her. And is like, fuck no. Like, him and Osiris are like, no. You can hang out on the helm, though. We could really use you on the helm. So I suspect Ido will be chilling on the helm next season. But I love lore bits like this because in a whole swath of little tidbits that we get, we find out that Iron Banner apparently has finals, number 1. Number 2, it gets broadcast somewhere other than the tower and Keitel's ship. Like, we now know that it also gets shown in the Elixir Quarter, and now it's being shown on Neomuna. Like, where the fuck else are they streaming these matches at? Right. I think that's hilarious. Putting Nimbus back in the lore also just makes me hopeful that they are going to have a role at some point. Just because Lightfall wasn't received well doesn't mean you can't use the characters from Lightfall. Now, it probably doesn't make sense to use Nimbus in either of the next 2 episodes, but I actually think it would have made a lot of sense to have used them to some degree here, considering they're on Neomuna fighting off a Vex invasion. Just my 2 cents. Other little tidbits, Osiris going through and mapping like every single branch he can possibly find on Nessus, trying to lead to the conductor, is another like kind of interesting tidbit that plays into what we were just talking about. Like, that's where you really need like Asher checking the VexNet. In all honesty, like, you need to make contact there and have him doing that so that, the guy who doesn't have a ghost isn't going out there and doing this, who's also like 1,000,000 years old.
Right.
So I think that's cool, and I think it's really interesting that Failsafe actually understands that, like, Nimbus just wants to hang out with their friends. They don't like they are lonely, and like Failsafe I think finally grasps that. And I don't know if she would have at the beginning of the season, but she notes it in some of the dialogue that we get that she finally feels like she's part of a crew again, like she has a purpose. And I love that. I think like it's funny that an AI gets some of the best character growth, but it's also a character like that nothing has been done with since Vanilla D1, really. Like there's been bare minimum since then.
Yeah.
Like we basically visited her to tell her that Cade was dead, and that was about it. Like we genuinely do not go to Nessus for anything. And if we did, she wasn't involved in the stories that were being told. So yeah, just again, little spice of life things that I like seeing, especially at the end of a season. I think that it gives us a little bit more context on our favorite characters. So
Spice of life.
the spice of life. Well, that's gonna do it for Lore Corner. Should we head on out of here?
Yeah, I guess we should probably get on out of here, huh? Speaking of spicy, I want to thank everybody out there for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. You can find us on Fridays on your podcast service of choice. Check out Xbox Casuals, our Xbox podcast, which you can find every other week. Josh, thank you for your time as always. Where can we find you?
Twitter, Josh_Finn, 2 N's, baby.
Well, 2 N's. You can find me at I am Corn HD on all them socials. Check us out, rate us, review us, all those things. And thanks so much for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.